Well, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Voices of Healthpointe, and I'm super excited today because I have as a guest Carol Zampa, and this is particularly exciting, as I said, or meaningful to me because in the Healthpointe program, we mention and highlight and emphasize accountability, and Carol, along with her and her husband Hank being longtime friends and mentors, Carol is actually who I check in with virtually every morning, and so it's really exciting to kind of have my Healthpointe coach on as a guest for Voices of Healthpointe. And Carol, for those that don't know you or know who you are and kind of your relation and history with Healthpointe, I'll just say this because you might not feel comfortable, but you are an amazing example of the benefits of the Healthpointe program in terms of health and fitness. And I know that you are in what would be called lifetime maintenance mode, which is what kind of everybody aspires to in Healthpointe, is to get their health where they want it, to maybe get their weight where they want it, and then move into lifetime maintenance mode, for the rest of their life. And so if you could just kind of comment on your lifetime maintenance mode and anything else related to your thoughts on Healthpointe, and we'd love to hear that.
Well, hi, Eric, and thanks for inviting me to do this. This is going to be fun because I totally love and believe in the Healthpointe program. I didn't have a lot of weight to lose when many years ago I wanted to go through the program, but I had about 15, maybe even 20 pounds, and I'm not a super big person, so it made a difference. And I think sometimes that 5 to 15 pounds is some of the hardest weight to lose because it's hard to make that commitment. And I just decided that if I was going to help other people with Healthpointe, I wanted to go on it myself. And I wanted to experience it firsthand. And it was a successful experience for me. I think first and most important thing is I decided. And once you decide to do it, then you close the door behind you and you commit to the program and you don't try to rearrange or make it Healthpointe 5.0 or whatever. So I lost my 15 to 20 pounds in about 2 cycles, and that was many years ago. And what was interesting to me was the ability to keep it off after so many years. And I can say today, and I'm going to say we've been in Florida 8 years, and it was way before that. So I've got to say, well over 10 years, maybe 12 or more years that I've been able to keep it off, and I'm actually at a lower weight now than I was even when I took it off. So the program works, and I think one of the key elements that I realized was something called habits. I wanted to change some habits, and habits will lead you and guide you in your life if you allow it to. And Healthpointe was very helpful for me in changing not tons of habits, but a few habits that made all the difference in the world. And I remember reading a couple of books, and I just want to refer to these for your listeners because I think they're so important for everybody to read. One is called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and the other one is called Better Than Before. And it's Gretchen Rubin, I think, is the author. And both of them basically say that once you create a habit and you create it in, let's say, not 21 days, because it takes usually about 64 days to create a habit and make it stick. But once you do, then you're uncomfortable when you don't do it. And I think that was the key to Healthpointe for me, was making that commitment, making those habits, and now being uncomfortable when I don't do them. So anyway, that's just a little introduction.
Wow, Carol, that is so great. And thank you so much for those resources in terms of those books on habits. Of course, as you know, I'm familiar with those books and absolutely feel strongly about them as well. Super great resources. So Thank you so much for highlighting them. And totally get what you're saying, that, when you're talking 15 to 20 pounds, that might be actually, in a sense, harder to step up and make the decision to do Healthpointe than, say, if you have 40, 50, or 100 or more pounds, because you're kind of doing all right. Yeah, so totally get what you're saying, totally agree, and I just think it's phenomenal. And then again, to have the example of being in lifetime maintenance for such a duration here, and doing as well and even better than your initial results. And isn't that a testament to the Healthpointe program? And the compare and contrast to the experience of so many people that try something and they end up being on some sort of a yo-yo program. They drop and then they go back up. They drop and then they go back up. Now, it does take a commitment, as you know, to be in Healthpointe lifetime maintenance. It's not something that just happens on its own either. Well, I just wanted to kind of pick up a little bit on, you mentioned about the power of habits, and as I mentioned, you're who I check in with, and I often emphasize the habit and the power of accountability. I know you've emphasized that to me, and it is in kind of our acronym of Healthpointe. We talk about the acronym WARR, or at least that's the acronym I use, WARR, and it stands for walking, accountability, real food, and then real supplementation. And I often, if I get asked which of those four are most key, I say the A, the accountability. And if you could just kind of touch on that a little bit, your feelings, your thoughts on the power of accountability, of checking in routinely and kind of building that as a habit. If I could get your thoughts on that. Hey, Carol.
Well, Eric, I love that acronym WARR, and I'm writing it down because I think it just really hits the most important things in the Healthpointe program. But I do agree with you. Accountability is one of the key ingredients that just doesn't come, especially a daily accountability, doesn't come with any other program that I know of. And I believe it's the way, or the reason, and the most help for creating those new habits, because you have to nip things in the bud in the beginning until those habits become a part of you. And as I look back over the people that I've put on Healthpointe myself, I'm thinking of two particular instances. One of them in particular was a gentleman that lost 38 pounds, and it took him 2 cycles to do it, about 1.5 cycles actually. He had a very specific reason, and when I told him he needed to be accountable every day, and he can do, either a picture of the food log, he can make it on a tablet, however he wants to do it. He chose a legal tablet. He wrote out everything he ate, how much water he drank, how many steps he took, and every single morning he would present that on my text. I never once had to ask him. And as a result, he got on the program. He didn't fiddle around with the program. He didn't try to change the program or shortchange it. He just did it. And in 38 pounds, in 2 cycles, he was done. And he hasn't put it on since. And that's been a couple of years ago. And he had a very specific reason why, too. I think that's another thing that sometimes is overlooked, is what specific reason why and a time frame. For him, it was that he wanted to hike with his son in Wyoming, and the trip was coming up, and the year before that when he hiked, he had a hard time keeping up with his son. And so this year he didn't want to have that situation. And so he went on it, and he did not have that situation. He had a very successful experience. Then there was another one, and this is another little element, I think, in accountability, and that's if you're a couple, I would highly, highly recommend you both go on the Healthpointe program. It's an eating program. It's a lifestyle program. It's not a diet. Otherwise, they call it Dietpointe. It's called Healthpointe for a reason. It's a healthy lifestyle program by which many people do lose weight, and many people go on the program initially to lose weight. But there are so many outlying other blessings from this program that are just absolutely so integral to the success of this program. It's so major. But anyway, this other couple went on, and because they were a couple, one lost 38 pounds, and one lost 58 pounds. It was the woman, and the man lost 87 pounds. They started in June 3 years ago, and I think they finished in November, and they lost that amount of weight. She 58 pounds, he 87 pounds. And she was sharing with me just yesterday that she went out, she's got a wedding to go to, and she bought this very tight dress, and she looked like $1 million in it. And this is 3 years later. So obviously she kept the weight off. So if you are a couple, this prevents self-sabotaging or partner sabotaging, and you go on it. And then you also can go on it as a family. And I'll tell you, everybody will be blessed by it. So anyway, I agree. Health accountability is one of the major keys to the program.
Wow, Carol, those are some really, really great examples of the power of accountability, and love that, that when you mentioned about having the reason why, that's a huge driver. Then you pair that with the accountability, and it's just a real winning equation. In that acronym, WARR, W-A-R-R, the W is for walking. And, if there's one thing that I think of when I think of, talking with Carol Zampa about Healthpointe, and you know where I'm going with this, what comes to my mind is Carol and her power walking. In fact, it happened even today for this interview with you, is that you had your power walking. And could you, and again, this might fall under, the habit structure, where it's just a habit of yours, but, we, of course, in Healthpointe talk about doing 10 to 15,000 steps a day. We talk about, doing that in any manner of walking, but you emphasize power walking. And maybe if you could just comment on how you built that into a habit, and any thoughts that you have regarding walking in general and just that daily movement.
Well, Eric, I think the word that you said, movement, is a perfect word. And I think that one of the things that they talk about in Healthpointe is gentle exercise. I do want to comment on that, because gentle exercise means you don't have to go to the gym and pump iron and lift huge weights and do all kinds of crazy Ironman things. Gentle exercise means a simple exercise, but it doesn't necessarily mean a walk versus a stroll. I power walk, yes I do, and I do everything fast, so power walking is just one more thing I do fast, but I love to power walk because it just wakes the whole body up and gives me so much energy. But I see people out there, and they think a walk sometimes is a stroll, and they're walking their dog, and I'm thinking that's better than not walking at all. But I would say that give your dog some kind of an energizer before you get out there, so you walk a little faster. Because I think when you walk fast, your metabolism increases, and then of course we know that in this business or in this program, your metabolism is key, because the whole idea is that you are going to get your metabolism up like it was when you were a kid. Because when your metabolism is up, you're burning calories and carbs and everything else at a much higher rate. And so the whole idea is eat some, move some, eat some, move some, thus the exercise. And so power walking for me is something I absolutely adore. I think it's as beneficial for me in my body as it is in my mind also. It gives me a chance. I double duty and I listen to audios, or sometimes I'll be communicating with you, Eric, while I'm power walking. And I love it because I can do two things at one time, and I can listen to an audio, maybe a Healthpointe audio that gives me some tips. And it just makes my walk be double duty benefit. So I would say walk or power walk if you can, but at least walk briskly versus a general stroll. And if you can do that before breakfast, that is probably the ultimate way. But the most important thing is pick a time that you can do it and then stick to it. If it's in the evening, it has to be in the evening because of your work schedule. Great. Whatever works for you, the important thing is stick to it. Do it every single day if you can. I used to skip Sundays. Now I started walking Sunday afternoons because if I'd skip, then it leads me to wanting to get out of the habit. So if you can do it every day, I think that's key. And I did notice a huge difference by getting 10 to 15,000 steps in keeping my weight off or taking it off. And then if my steps weren't there years ago when I'd find I'd slough off a little bit, I wouldn't lose the weight. And so many times I find people, when they stop losing weight, they've just stopped moving and getting those steps in. So I think it's a very, very key part of the program.
Hey, Carol, I love that. And, the dogs are going to love this too, right? Because like you said, some people, when they're out there walking, it's better than nothing, but that's a great term. It's a stroll. It's just, they're just kind of shuffling along. Whereas if they can pick up that pace, that can make a big difference. And, you hit on a key factor that is so integral to the Healthpointe program, and that is metabolism. And that is just a magical thing when sometimes people have lost that metabolism, that quicker metabolism as they've aged. But it's not necessarily just an age thing. It's a food thing. It's an activity thing, and they can really dial that metabolism back in line. And it's amazing how it can just burn through fuel. So. Well, hey, I just want to say again how much I appreciate having you on here. You have had gem after gem after gem that you've dropped here, and it's so appreciated. It's going to be so appreciated by folks listening to this. And before we kind of wrap up, I just want to kind of toss it back out to you, and just if you have any kind of final thoughts on anything as it relates to Healthpointe, anything that might be, encouraging to someone maybe that's considering the program, or maybe somebody that's involved in the program and maybe in an active weight loss mode. Maybe they're in a 6-week cycle mode. Anything at all, or for that matter, for people that are in lifetime maintenance, like yourself, that are in that mode. But any kind of closing final thoughts that you might have?
Well, Eric, you mentioned the word metabolism, and I think that is a secret sauce in this program, because that 2-week period where you allow your body to adjust to the new weight by increasing some food intake, I think is very, very key. And to my knowledge, there's not another program out there like that. So make sure that you stay with Eric on that and follow through that very important 2 weeks in the cycle. There's a couple of last things that I want to touch on. One of them is snacking and the other is supplementing. And let's address snacking first, because this program is not a denial program. I love the fact that I've never had to deny. I've just made a different choice or exchanged. So if you think of denial versus exchange, all you're doing is you're taking one thing and you're exchanging it for another. And I like to equate this to a person that stops smoking. And many times when a person stops smoking, they put a lot of weight on because they exchanged a cigarette for food. And unfortunately, that's not always a good thing to do. And so here, what we're doing is we're exchanging a bad habit for a good one, or a bad food choice for a good food choice. And I think snacking is one of the easiest ways to make those changes, because snacking typically would introduce bad foods for you. And the more I'm learning about some of these snack foods, the more I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so glad years ago I gave them up, because they're really pretty evil. So what I used to do is stop in the gas station when I was on the road and pick up a bag of Skittles. I loved Skittles. I had a tremendous sweet tooth. So when I got on the Healthpointe program, I had to substitute Skittles and move it into something else. And of course, we provide you with beautiful, healthy, sweet, and wonderful, but not too sweet, bars. And so we recommend you take a bar and you cut it in half, and you cut it in little pieces and stick them in snack bags. And have those handy all the time, so that when you are ready for a snack, you don't grab something that's bad for you. You've got your bars, and it's real easy for you to munch on 8 of those little small, or however many little pieces, and then drink some water down. And it's amazing how you can feel your blood sugar returning to normal. I can literally feel it in my body. Cravings going away, blood sugar returning to its normal level, brain operating more efficiently and with clarity, and it is amazing. You'll start to really feel in your body these changes, and they're absolutely wonderful. So I have a little thing that I say, I went from Skittles to Littles. Littles being little pieces of a meal bar or a protein bar in our business. So if you just think of it in those terms, that will really help you. And then the last one, and I think probably one of the most important in the program itself, is supplementation, because we're talking about Healthpointe. We're not talking about just losing weight. We're talking about long-term healthy habits. And I can tell you, my husband, I'm going to brag on him, is 89 years old coming this next Saturday. And he is amazing. And he's not ever been on any drugs. He has all his parts, as I do, and neither one of us are on drugs. And he is amazing, amazingly healthy. We can thank God, number one, for that. But we can really thank Healthpointe, because he sticks very, very well to eating a healthy program. And one of the things in the program that we recommend for you is a Perfect Pack for Health. It's probably a little more pricey, but it is such a beautiful, perfect combination of nutrients that you absolutely will not get in your food. I can tell you, I can show you article upon article how it's impossible, even when you're eating the Healthpointe wonderful way of eating, the food value is just not in the food like it used to be years ago. So it's absolutely imperative you supplement. And I love these little AM and PM packs that Perfect Pack for Health put together. And I'll tell you something, I would go without a dinner out before I'd go without getting my Perfect Pack for Health on a monthly basis. So think of it in terms of, okay, what can I cut out of my lifestyle that's not necessarily doing me any good, so that I can add in that extra money for the Perfect Pack for Health that is going to give me tons and tons of years of healthy living. We don't make any claims, but I will just tell you, you cannot eat a program like Perfect Pack for Health supplementation, whole food supplements, and not gain benefit from it. You just can't. And unfortunately, you won't maybe see it that first day, that first month even. But I will tell you, you factor that out the next year or even the next few months, the next year, the next 5 years, and you will be so glad that you made those choices and you took something that wasn't so healthy for you, and you took that dollar and you put it into good whole food supplementation. So those would be the things that I want to just kind of end up with, and I would just say, don't sugarcoat, don't nickel and dime your business, your program. Stick to it. And Eric, I want to say to you, thank you so much for what you're doing for all of these folks. And folks that are listening to this, you are blessed by knowing Eric. Really, really stick with him. Follow what he says, and you will be so eternally grateful for it. So here's to your health, guys. Bye-bye now.
Well, thanks again so much, Carol. I can't think of two more important, key subjects to wrap with than what you did in terms of just emphasizing the snacking, the healthy snacking, the protein snacking, and bringing it right down to some techniques that you use. And it is such an amazing part of the program because, people, if they're considering this program or even if they're on the program, there can be some anxiety because they think there's going to be this great deprivation. And what we know and what they experience once they start is that actually is not the case, because you're keeping that blood sugar nice and level because you're doing that protein snacking, and you just, like you said, you can just literally feel it. You have a snack between your meals, and it just keeps you from those deprivation type cravings that most people would associate and think that they have to experience in order to have the benefits. And then, yes, the supplementation. It's unfortunately something that can be, and you and I know this, it's something that people can prioritize because they're so focused on weight loss. And losing weight definitely has a benefit to health, but that alone is not what we're after. As you mentioned, this is not Dietpointe, this is Healthpointe. And so, as I often joke, you can do grapefruit and sauerkraut diet and probably lose weight if that's your only focus, but that's probably not going to do well in terms of keeping you healthy. And so this is not just about losing weight, this is about staying healthy, and to that degree, it's so important to get those micronutrients in. And also, I will say, to optimize the weight loss, particularly in a healthy manner, there's also numerous studies out there that point towards certain key nutrients like selenium, like zinc, like omegas, and their role in regulating blood sugar, kind of an effect on glucose. And we won't dive deep on that, but just to say, to optimize weight loss and that experience of weight loss, definitely the supplementation can help on that as well. But the real key driver, and yes, Hank is such an amazing example of that, is your long-term health that comes from fueling your body, making sure that you're getting those key nutrients in, which are virtually impossible to get in just even the most rigorous of grocery shopping. Is very difficult to get. So absolutely could not think of any better note to wrap on that. And well, again, thank you so much, Carol. And guys, that'll put a wrap on this episode of Voices of Healthpointe. And till next time, enjoy your day.